Cannabis is a psychoactive drug, a chemical substance that changes nervous system function and results in alteration in perception, mood, consciousness, cognition, or behavior. In 1619, King James I decreed that Jamestown would step up and support England, so he wanted them to grow and export 100 hemp plants. Cannabis appeared on the $10 bill as late as 1900. In 1906, the U.S. Congress passed the Pure Food and Drug Act, requiring certain drugs, including cannabis, be accurately labeled. In 1937, the U.S. passed the marijuana tax, replacing the J with an H because the U.S. wanted to further their goals by associating it with foreigners, especially since the word was spelled in Mexico as marijuana with a G. Mandatory sentencing and increased punishment were enacted when the United States Congress passed the Boggs Act of 1952. Proposed by Democrat Hale Boggs, the Boggs Act made the first offense conviction carry a minimum sentence of 2 to 10 years and a fine up to $20,000. On November 2, 1951, Harry Truman signed the act into law. In 1970, Congress passed the Controlled Substances Act as Title II of the Comprehensive Drug Abuse Prevention and Control Act of 1970, which repealed the Marijuana Act, although the new law did officially prohibit the use of cannabis for any purpose. That's where this quote comes from.
So now here's Ehrlichman in his own words. He says, the Nixon campaign in 1968 and the Nixon White House after that had two enemies, the anti-war left and black people. You understand what I'm saying? We knew we couldn't make it illegal to be either against the war or black, but by getting the public to associate the hippies with marijuana and blacks with heroin, and then criminalizing both heavily, we could disrupt those communities. How do you see that and then not want to immediately end this nonsense political war on drugs? Well, Ehrlichman goes on. He says, we could arrest their leaders, raid their homes, break up their meetings, and vilify them night after night on the evening news. Now, I'm going to show you how they're still doing that in a second. But when asked about whether he and Dick Nixon intended to do that, he said, quote, did we know we were lying about drugs? Of course we did. Jesus Christ.